Whenever we're doing algebra, it's important to remember that any use of a letter is standing for a particular number. It might be that it's a number we know, it might be that it's a number that we're going to find out at some point, or we might never find out, but it doesn't really matter. Any use of a letter stands for a particular number, and it is always worth bearing that in mind. Now, so far, when we've looked at this one of our keywords, expand, we've only ever looked at having one thing on the outside of the brackets. It could be that that was a number, or it could be that that was a letter, or in fact it could be that we had both. And in any case, it's been whatever is on the outside of the bracket times each of the things inside the bracket in turn. 2x times x in this case, and then 2x times the plus 4. Now it could be that we have not just one thing on the outside of the bracket, but in fact two, something like this particular question, where the thing on the outside of the bracket is in fact another bracket. Now this is a perfectly okay thing to do. Bear in mind that x as a letter stands for a particular number, which means that x plus 2 must also be a number. And if x is a number, then x plus 3 must also be a number. So really what this is two numbers that we don't know yet, that are being multiplied together, remembering of course that in there hidden is a times sign that we can't see. We're dropping it out as part of the simplifying process to make this look as neat as possible. Now what we're going to do, and how we're going to deal with this, anytime we have two brackets and we're being asked to expand, notice again that the question is very straightforward in terms of what it's asking us to do. It simply uses the keyword expand, and you have to recognise that expand means get rid of the brackets. But with this being two brackets, we have to go through a couple of extra steps. We need to simplify this down a little bit first. We need to make this so that it's possible for us to deal with. What we're going to do is we're going to take that first bracket, that x plus 2, and we are going to rip this bracket in half. So I'm going to take the x and I'm going to put the x over here, and then I'm going to take the plus 2, and notice that I am taking the plus 2, not just the 2, I am keeping the symbol with it, and I'm going to put that over here. Now what this is in the original question, this is x plus 2, which remember of course is a number, lots of x plus 3. So it's x plus 2 lots of x, and it's x plus 2 lots of the 3. Or the other way around, we could look at it as x plus 3 lots of x plus 2, because it doesn't matter which way around, we multiply things. So I'm ripping that one apart. X plus 2 lots of the x plus 3, and plus 2 lots of the x plus 3, which would give me x plus 2 lots altogether. I'm then going to slide that second bracket into place next to each of those things. X lots of x plus 3, and the plus 2 lots of x plus 3, which again remember is absolutely fine. If you wanted some justification of that being okay, imagine for a moment, this is a side note, that we had 12 lots of, let's say 4. 12 lots of 4. Well, one perfectly good way that we could work that out is we could rip that 12 into 10 and 2, and say that what we have is 10 lots of 4 and 2 lots of 4. 10 lots of 4 is 40, 2 lots of 4 is 8, and that comes to 48 in total, which is, hopefully, you'll notice, exactly the same as 12 times 4. That's what we are doing here. Much like we could rip the 12 apart into 10 times 2, sorry, 10 plus 2, we can also rip the x plus 2 apart into an x and a plus 2. So, back to the original question. We've taken that first bracket, we've ripped it in two, we've ended up with x and a plus 2. We're keeping the plus 2 as a plus for reasons that will become clear in the second example. The second bracket then slides into place next to each one. So the first bracket rips in two, the second one slides into place next to each one. We're then going to deal with these one at a time. The question still wants us to expand. Well, we've now got something here, and in fact something here that we can expand in the normal way. So we're going to look at this one first. On the left we're going to do x times the x, and then we're going to do x times the plus 3. X times the x will give us an x squared, and x times the plus 3 will give us a plus 3x. over here on the other side, we're going to do plus 2 times the x and plus 2 times the plus 3. This is where the signs come into play. Plus 2 times plus 3 is going to give us a sign for that term. Plus 2 times the x will give us plus 2x, and plus 2 times plus 3 will give us plus 6. We can put these back together at the end and notice that this is what we've ended up with. X squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. So I can write those next to each other. X squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. And hopefully at this point you might notice something about those two terms in the middle. You might notice, in fact, that plus 3x plus 2x will combine, will simplify into a single term. And although the question doesn't tell us to simplify, we probably should. It's good practice. It's a bit like not doing it will be a little bit like having 1 plus 2 and not writing it as 3, something like that. So we're going to say that's x squared, that's going to stay as is, and the plus 6 is going to be fine on the end. But in the middle here we've got 3x's, we're adding 2x's, plus 3x plus 2x will give us plus 5x in total. And what we've done is we've started with two brackets, we have expanded them, we've got rid of the brackets, and we've ended up with the question looking very different, but still being exactly the same thing expressed in a different form. We've expanded x plus 2 into x plus 3. Expand, and this time the two brackets we're going to have a bracket x minus 5, and we're going to have a bracket x plus 7. And like we did last time, the first thing we're going to do, we are going to split this first bracket up into an x and into a minus 5, noting that we have kept it as a minus 5. In keeping that as a minus 5, rather than having to worry about subtracting things later, the signs will all sort themselves out. So we've ripped that first bracket apart. The second one is then going to fall into place next to each one. X plus 7 there, and x plus 7 there. Expanding this one first, on the left we're going to do x times x gives me x squared, and x times the plus 7 gives me plus 7x. For the other one, minus 5 times the x and minus 5 times the plus 7. So minus 5 times the x will give me a minus 5x, and minus 5 times the plus 7, well 5 times 7 is 35, minus on the 5 there, 1 minus, 1 change of direction would be expecting to head up the number line. The minus reverses the direction, changes the direction of travel, and we're now heading down the number line, giving us a minus 35 in total. Put those two bits back together. X squared plus 7x minus 5x minus 35, and we would hopefully notice that the plus 7x and the minus 5x, in much the same way as the previous one, will combine, will simplify. The x squared is going to stay as it is, because it always will. The minus 35 on the end, the number on the end will always stay as it is. These two terms in the middle, plus 7x minus 5x, will leave us simply with plus 2x. And there is our final answer. Notice before we move on that this is very similar in form to the previous one. We've got an x squared term at the front, we've got a number term at the end, and we've got an x term in the middle. The signs might be different, but any answer from one of these questions is going to look very, very similar. You've got two brackets that look like this, x plus or minus a particular number, or any letter in fact. You're going to have a squared term at the front, a number term at the end, and an x term or a letter term in the middle. Looks very similar to the other two questions, just that we have a number in front of the x here. It doesn't actually change anything about the way the question is done. We can still go about it in exactly the same way. First thing we're going to do, we're going to split that first bracket into two. We're going to have the 2x over here, and we're going to have the plus 3 over here, noticing again that we're keeping the sign as is. The second bracket is going to slide into place comfortably next to the two things we've just written down, so the x plus 4 over here, and the x plus 4 again over here. We're going to expand each of those one at a time. We're going to start with this one over here. So we're going to do 2x times the x, expanding, remember, the thing on the outside times each of the things inside in turn. So 2x times the x is going to give us 2x squared, and 2x times the plus 4 is going to give us a plus 8x. For this bracket, we're going to do the plus 3 times the x, and then the plus 3 times the plus 4. Again, whatever is on the outside of the bracket times each of the things inside in turn. Plus 3 times the x will give us plus 3x, and plus 3 times plus 4 will give us plus 12. We're going to put those two things back together at the end. 2x squared plus 8x plus 3x plus 12. And again, we've got this case where there are two x terms in the middle that we could combine, we could simplify together. We might as well, because leaving them apart would be a little bit odd. 2x squared, that's going to stay as it is, and the plus 12, they won't simplify with anything because notice that the x squareds, the x's, and the number on its own are different types of thing, different currencies. To use that currency example, think like pounds and dollars. They are different, whereas the plus 8x and the plus 3x will combine. 8, 9, 10, 11x plus 11x, giving us a final answer of 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Noticing again, very similar in style to the other two answers. Yes, there was a 2 here, but it didn't change much about the question. We still have a squared term at the beginning, a number term at the end, and an x term in the middle.